Once we've looked at basic creation processes for an assessment, we want to focus on subject areas. Now, in English language arts, the most obvious thing to look at and to really pay attention to in the beginning is passages, and that is your passage length. You know, assessments, you have a certain time period that you want to give the assessment, but you don't want the student reading the whole time and then rushing to answer any questions. So the first thing you would look at in a passage is its length. The other is to take all the passages that you're going to select for a specific assessment and add their lengths together, even just by word count. How much reading are we going to ask a student to do over the course of this 50-minute time block? So once you've decided on the passages you're looking at for an assessment, then there's text complexity. You know, even shorter passages, if they're complex, it will cause the student to have to read it 2 or 3 times. So in some cases, you're going to have to test out passages to see what a student would have to do to understand the passage and then the items attached to the passage. And then that brings to the next thing, item text complexity. As we've moved into Common Core, we've seen an interest and a higher interest in complex items. And when we do that, that adds to reading and not just confusion for the student, but it adds reading time to an assessment. Now, once you have your passages and your items, you want to look at items per passage. How many items can I attach to this passage without exhausting the passage? So what I mean by exhausting is you end up in queuing or overlapping because you're asking too much of the passage. Now, the other side of that coin is too few items for a passage. Let's say a passage is 400 words and you're asking, you have 2 multiple choice items to it. That's probably not worth the student's time. You have to be careful with that. And then there are going to be in English language arts some standards that would be standalone items. That there's going to be either a short response or a multiple choice item that would cover what you need to learn about the student for that standard or a group of standards. And then the last thing within English language arts that we'll look at is there are some things that when you have these skills and you want to learn something, it's better to have them right. And so setting up a writing prompt and getting rid of some of your multiple choice or your other types of items and having the student write will tell you a lot about your students.